Hey everyone, this is the Mana Source, my name is Wedge. We actually thought they wouldn't release 2 Planeswalkers in 2 consecutive days. Well, we were totally wrong. Whoops. Our newest addition to the Theros family is definitely not Gruul. Ashiok Nightmare Weaver is a 1 colorless, 1 blue, and 1 black for a 3 loyalty walker. It can +2 to exile the top 3 cards of target opponent's library. The first ability took me a while to really process. When it really came down to it, this is a long game board stall card. Against control decks, it wins in the long run if it can survive and you can keep their stuff away from it. In standard play, I see this as more of a sideboard card in Esper control decks than a main board staple. Its middle ability is -X, where you put a creature card with converted mana cost X, exiled with Ashiok, onto the battlefield under your control. The creature is also a nightmare in addition to its other types. Another thing that confuses me about this walker is its second ability works much better against aggressive decks, where its first ability is much better against control. The only creatures you are ever going to mill against a control deck are Aetherling and, Aetherling? I get what they're trying to do, and I'm not saying they don't accomplish it. They were definitely going for a card that interacted literally with an opponent's deck and then used their own cards against them. I understand it, but it still feels awkward to me. By the way, almost forgot its last ability. You can -10 Ashiok to exile all cards from all opponents' hands and graveyards. This isn't so bad against anything, assuming you can get it there. When really looking at this card's power, I think it's safe to say that in constructed play, you need to sideboard it in against control decks and maybe some mid-range strategies, but that even might be pushing it. Against aggressive decks, this thing just gets trampled, and since red-green decks are filled with creatures, the game is supposed to be over before you would deck them anyways. Yes, you can exile their cards, then maybe cast one of their own creatures, but if this is your turn 3 play, you need to be able to provide some board position against something like red-green. This card is going to take some testing to figure out where it fits best. Going forward, just keep in mind that even though the +2 ability and the -X ability can be really cool together, when you land Ashiok on turn 3, you better have the winning board position, because you don't want to tap out for this just to see it get abrupt decayed. Speaking of what would be good in control decks, boom! Erebos, God of the Dead. I've only been waiting for this forever. 4 mana for a 5/7 indestructible devotion-based creature. Erebos' first ability is your opponents can't gain life. This is hilarious. Granted, constructed might not be the main target of an ability like this. Looking at you, EDH. It does stop Sphinx's Revelation from gaining a crap ton of life. Ridiculously funny life gain stoppage aside, his second ability is my absolute favorite of any of the gods. You can pay 2 mana and 2 life to draw a card. Greed! I missed you so much! Where have you gone? My life has been so lonely without you. All we need now is necropotence and we can have another black summer. If my giddy schoolgirl excitement wasn't sufficient evidence of how awesome this is, let me explain. Drawing cards is always good. Card advantage is one of the main things people look to do in games. The better you can do it, the higher chance of winning you'll have. Black has always been that color that lets you draw cards in exchange for life. Cards like Necropotence, Greed, Phyrexian Arena, and recently, Sign in Blood and Underworld Connections all share the same idea. Erebos is just the newest iteration of this in enchantment form. Indestructible enchantment form. In a deck where the games tend to go long, getting extra cards for a couple of life can be the difference between winning and losing. Obviously against aggro, the strategy isn't optimal, but Erebos is meant for the long game. Trust me, if there are Esper control decks post-rotation, and there very well could be, you can expect a couple copies of Erebos. Card advantage in exchange for life is still card advantage control players want. The next series of cards spoiled is another set of 5, much like the nymphs from yesterday. We've already seen one of them with Hunt the Hunter. These cards are all same color hosers. Gainsay is 1 colorless and a blue for an instant speed counter against blue spells. To be fair, blue had this coming. We kind of deserve it. Black gets Dark Betrayal. 1 black for an instant that destroys target black creature. Oh, that's so cheap. It's like the value. The white hoser is Glare of Heresy. For 2 mana at sorcery speed, you can exile target white permanent. Even at sorcery speed, exiling is always a coveted keyword. Peak Eruption is the red hoser. For 3 mana, also at sorcery speed, you destroy target mountain, then deal 3 damage to that land's controller. Stone Rain Lightning Bolt for 3? Not bad. These 5 cards are all great as limited sideboard cards, but I could see some of them getting standard play if one type of deck rises above the rest. Sadly, what seems to be the strongest hosers, blue, black, and white, are the 3 weakest colors right now. We must not lose hope, as this next spoiler is half white and also amazing. Fleece Mane Lion is a 3/3 for 1 green and 1 white. Might as well be called Value Mane Lion. For 3 colorless, a green and a white, you can make him monstrous. While this only adds 1 counter to him, he becomes hexproof and indestructible. This is just a really good card. This is the kind of creature card that goes well in every deck running these colors. 2 mana for a 3/3 is always nice to have, but the ability to make him bigger down the road, give him durability, and make him untargetable? This card is definitely good. Standard playable for sure. Keep an eye out for this guy. The next spoiler, all the way from Taiwan, is Kragma Warcaller. 3 colorless, 1 black, and 1 red gets you a 2/3 Minotaur that gives all Minotaurs haste. And whenever a Minotaur creature you control attacks, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Great limited card, kind of expensive. I'd like a Minotaur Warchief that makes Minotaurs cost 1 less to cast, something similar to the Warchiefs from Onslaught. Other than that, this is pretty decent outside of standard. It seems a bit expensive for constructed play, sadly. The last spoiler today is Tymaret the Murder King. What a great title, just awesome. Tymaret is a 2/2 for a black and a red. For 1 colorless and a red, you can sacrifice another creature and Tymaret deals 2 damage to target player. You can also pay 1 colorless and a black and sacrifice a creature to return him from your graveyard to your hand. These are pretty cool abilities. There are a ton of creature generation spells in Theros, and who knows, maybe he could join the Perforos, Young Pyromancer, Gutter Snipe, Army of Creature Generation and Destruction. Tymaret the Murder King of value. It fits really well in my head. These latest spoilers seem pretty cool. We asked for a Planeswalker that wasn't red-green, and we got one. I'm curious to hear how you guys plan to use Ashiok, if at all. As always, subscribe below for the most up-to-date and reliable information on Theros spoilers and everything else you need to know about the set. This is the Mana Source. I'm Wedge. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.